You're talking about Luke? He looks so wooden and boring. It's a snooze fest. You're wrong. First of all, you're senile. Okay. Trust me, it's Tom. Oh, we're live. Shit. Hi. Okay. Love you, Mom. Gotta go. Bye. Hi. Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Sometimes my mom has moments of lucidity and I try to catch them and converse with her.
Are you
anyway,
talking about Gilmore Girls? I heard Luke.
Close. Just as dumb. Honest to God, just as fucking dumb. This Saturday is the marathon, Chemda. 24 hours, 80 guests. It'll be at our YouTube channel under Keith and the Girl, okay? Chemda, right after the marathon, by the way, we didn't talk about this, is going to Amsterdam, going to Spain. So we'll have a week off, but she'll be recording after that from there. Are you excited? Do you have your affairs in order?
So I am excited. We started talking about this when it seemed like there's just 2 more weeks of COVID or something like that. So now it feels I feel a little guilty and a little nervous about flying around this time, but we've been taking all the precautions. Now, when you're flying internationally, everyone has their own set of rules. Download our country's app. Make sure that you're updated on that. Make sure that you had a COVID test 24 to 48 hours before. And they keep updating it. And because we have a flight, the airline keeps updating us on that country's rules at the moment. And this morning, they told us that the things that we have that have been in place are not good enough. Now you have to have an appointment with someone and you have to take a COVID test, a COVID approved. They have to approve the test, take the test with that person so that they can have proof of you taking it, show them the whole time. And I might have to do this during the marathon, depending on what the country wants at the time. So now, I'm telling you, you have to download the country's app. You have to just make sure that you're current and up to date with their rules. So if I have to do it during the marathon, I want to try to do it live. I haven't taken a COVID test yet, and I'm really nervous. And I was hoping that Xerxes could stick something in my nose instead of me, but I don't think they're going to go for that on this. So I think I'm going to cry. So there's
when you say you're nervous, you're not nervous about having it because you're beyond careful. But you're just nervous. What's it like in your head? They don't go to the brain anymore, as you've heard. You just go a little in the nose. Are
you sure?
I had one done fairly recently, and it's a whole new game. And I said, "Oh, you don't go into the brain?" They're like, "Yeah, we never had to." But okay, exciting and nerve wracking. It sounds like, right? Where you go? Yeah. What's the plan? Amsterdam.
The plan is Amsterdam for some time off because we have some time off next week. And then on Friday, we fly to Malaga, Spain, which I had no idea there was a Malaga, Spain, but we can work from there for 3 weeks after that. So I will be recording Keith and the Girl. We'll be doing silent trailers from there, OMAT from there. And we'll see what this nomadic lifestyle could feel like.
You're moving to a place you didn't know if it existed. Did you Google it? Because this could be a scam. This could be. I don't want to embarrass you, but
can I tell you how we picked this? There's a website for people who want to work nomadically, right? So, and there's a lot of people doing that now because of COVID. And you put in what do you need from the place that you're going to? And we need. To me, weed friendly is not just because I'm a pothead, but also because if they're lenient about this kind of drug, then they are a little more aware. Are you okay with gay people, queers in general? That lets me know that the country is a little more safe, a little more, So I put in, it has to be above this weather. We have to have Wi-Fi, and Malaga came up. So it just fit the boxes where I want to be for a little while. And luckily Xerxes is into it. So.
Oh, man, I'm jealous. I can use a little vacation. You know what my girlfriend did when we had the snowstorm? So it's a snow day and you can, be at home, do whatever you want. She goes, yay, it's a snow day. Let's go do Pilates.
What?
First of all, we leave her apartment. We almost slip on the steps and crack our head open.
That's the start of Pilates. You got to get your core right.
That's the vacation beginning already. It was like Pilates 101. But the woman had such a thick Caribbean accent. I couldn't tell anything she was saying. The music was too loud. I'm looking at other people to see what they're doing. But she goes, no, don't look at other people. I'm like, then I really don't know. And for 101, they're like rib cage down, tailbone swipe. I'm like, what? Full heart can't lose. I don't know what any of these words are for 101.
That's funny because I have felt like that in a yoga class in the past when I'm like, oh, this is for beginners. It says beginners. And then you see everyone is like super fit, right? And I'm like, well, okay, I get that you could have worked out in other places and this doesn't mean that, and this could be your first yoga class, but it wasn't. At some point, the teacher goes, and flow. And I'm like, do we just do our own thing? Right. Everyone's doing the same thing. I'm like, was there 10 minutes before the class where you taught the choreography? What is happening? And I learned that is a sun salutation. How is that beginner?
Right. I had a singing teacher, chorus, in high school. And she's like, no, from your diaphragm. I'm like, is that a switch in my brain? You're just saying words. But here's what's funny about the Pilates class. My girlfriend was a ballet dancer, and so she knows all these moves. And usually she's the best in the class. The teacher asked her to lead the class. I know she gets a kick out of that. Well, now I'm doing it with her, and the teacher kept looking at me and was like, "Nice." And I'm like, I don't even know where my elbows and ass are. I don't know what's happening. And then she would look at Kyle and say, like, rib cage down. Do this, do that, And afterwards, Kyle's like, well, what the fuck? And I'm like, I think she was a little hurt that I was naturally gifted and that she had to be told something in what she's already perfect at.
That's so funny because to me, it's obvious that you were doing it so bad that anytime you did it like half good, she was like, yes. Totally. Just stay here. Just be with us. Don't fall. Like every time you didn't fall, she was like, yes. But nice. Kyle's probably doing it so great that she's like, if you lower this diaphragm, because you know what that means, you'll get an extra whatever the fuck out of it.
Well, that's probably what the teacher was saying. Like you were saying, like, this is 101. What are you doing? But it's obvious, you brought this monkey to class. But I think you see me and she's like, yeah, nice, whatever. Who cares? Yeah, you have potential. How my girlfriend didn't read the room like that, I have no idea. And then at the end, she gave Kyle some more advice, the teacher. And then I said, yeah, keep telling her. And the teacher laughed because that's so fucking ridiculous. But I think Kyle thinks I'm excellent at Pilates.
She must have not looked at you at all during this class because I have seen you, not the teacher, Kyle, I have seen you stretch, whatever the fuck you think that is. And normally your face is like just angry bitch. Like
I wasn't happy.
But like just in general, that's your face. Mm-hmm. But when you're stretching, you're like, was I ever a child? What is this? Yeah. You have the flexibility of nothing. I don't even have something to compare it to.
Right.
When you sit down on the ground, just crisscross applesauce, you think you're stretching. So
yeah. Well, luckily, when I'm sitting down, I don't have to reach for things past my toes. It's never happened, and I'm 47 years old. That's funny.
I was going to Twitter something like, I think I do yoga in the mornings just so I can keep being able to cut my own toenails because holy shit, that's a challenge. While I'm stretching, I'm like, you know what? I'm in this position already. Let me grab the clippers. Here we go.
Then she said, okay, so at the gym, take a shower, steam, do a cold shower. That's good for your immunity. It's a snow day. I'm boosted. We're good. But that was our best. So yes, this Magala, that sounds very exciting. All right. Here's a letter I'd like to read to you. Keith and Kamda, VIP member, Virginia here. I've been listening to your show since I was 13. I'm 28.
Oh, we did a lot.
28. Keith and the girl has been with me through my parents' divorce, arguments with family and friends, a broken leg, a broken heart, and now you're with me in COVID. I don't know what would have kept me going if I didn't find this podcast. When times were and are hard, I can still find the energy to continue another day. Sometimes just looking forward to the next episode helps me keep my head up. That's actually a Pilates move. Thank you for the hours of joy you've added to my life. I'm excited for the marathon this week. I'll be attempting to stay awake for the entire 24 hours. L'chaim, Virginia.
L'chaim. Wow.
Thank you, Virginia. I also will be attempting to stay awake for 24 hours. So again, the YouTube channel, it's this Saturday, Keith and the Girl under YouTube, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
That's the start. And then when's the finish? 3 p.m. Eastern time.
I'm about to introduce you to today's guest, new to the Keith and the Girl world, but you're really going to dig her. But first, let me mention this, another podcast. While we're on vacation, if you're into it, it's an advertisement now for Wandery, talking about Justin Long's podcast. He was the annoying Mac guy. Life is Short with Justin Long. It says,
I like that you still see him as the annoying Mac guy, which is probably going to be his life forever. Just like the progressive chick. I see her in movies and I'm like, progressive. She tricked me for 5 minutes, but I know.
Right. How do we make the most of our time here on Earth? It says, how do we bring meaning to our life's work? And what is the best emoji to use when texting? They get silly too. These are important questions Justin Long asks you. He chats with celebrities. What? Actors, musicians, artists. How do we get the most out of life? He says. This guy's deep. He says here he talks to comedian Rob Riggle and singer Amy Mann, for example. There's an all-new episode with Billy Zane. Billy Zane started with a small role in Back to the Future. Did you know that? He played the car. In your own words and based on what you know, please discuss what you like about it. I just love it. He sits these celebrities down. He has celebrity in him too, so he can be on that level. He was in a Die Hard movie, for God's sakes. Here, what is just wrong? Listen to Life is Short with Justin Long on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app. Wondery. Explore things.
I can't with you. I get it. Life is short. My last name is Long.
Hello.
Hello.
He didn't even want to do a show. It's like it's there. You gotta. All right. But we're here now, okay? We're here now. We're going to talk to you now. And I'm going to introduce today's guest. They have a new memoir I'm very excited about. Sounds like it was taken from a Pearl Jam song. I'll explain. It's called Never Simple. And just so look at that. This is how much I want to talk about to the guest. You see all that?
It's the sound of his notes hitting his table.
That's right. Liz Scheier, how you doing, Liz?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
I am too. Thank you for being here. First of all, we'll go over a couple news stories, let the audience get to know you. Big news is that Punxsutawney Phil, the famous Groundhog, you might know him from the documentary Groundhog Day, did indeed see its shadow, and we will have scientifically proven 6 more weeks of winter.
What happens if he doesn't see it? Do we have less or more winter?
Well, Joe Rogan is talking to a rat and getting his opinion. So we'll see, I don't. So we'll see what happens. But the 6 weeks, the Groundhog is right 40% of the time. But it's just so fun.
Did you like Groundhog Day?
Groundhog Day. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's got to be Bill Murray, period. But that whole thing comes together and I think it's fantastic. Liz, you a Groundhog Day fan?
That is definitely one of my favorites. I work in the nonprofit sector, and so a lot of days feel exactly like Groundhog Day.
Right. Yeah. What's the nonprofit?
I work for an educational nonprofit called the International Baccalaureate. Oh. So we do like the AP, except for kids across the world.
Okay. What? Like news stories when you say AP?
No, like the advanced placement. Did you have to take those in high school?
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't in that one. Maybe, maybe you noticed.
Well, I watched Groundhog Day multiple times, and ironically, just because it was on TV. And I have to say, the first time, I don't think I got it, and I was like, "Okay, already." I don't know what he's even learning. He's just being such a goofball, right. And I think I need to rewatch it again now because it has gotten more in my understanding as I watch it again. And I think I was just an idiot.
Well, also, I think it's just you're supposed to be yourself and be pure, right? Is that the secret? Hemda got shit out of Drop Dead Fred. So She's going to get more stuff out of this than I'm going to, I think.
We have to do a whole episode on Drop Dead Fred because you really have to start understanding me. You are poo-pooing this, but Drop Dead Fred has depth and has a thought out understanding of childhood trauma and the PTSD. She made a mud pie. No, that was Drop Dead Fred. What does that mean? Let's discuss. Should we do this on My Name is Keith? Like this has to happen. You have to understand me.
Right. Liz, along with this memoir, you're also a book editor, right? So you're editing other people's books, correct?
I was, yes. I started many years ago in romance, and then I went to my first true love, which was science fiction for many years.
Did you ever have to write to a writer and be like, well, this when you wrote high, this when you wrote tired? Like I can tell this section you didn't give a fuck. Did you ever have to do that? And how do you do that?
Well, they would usually just mark those. It was like color coded. These are the sections I wrote high because you just have an expectation. Yeah. But you work with somebody for enough books after a while, kind of get to learn where they were drunk.
Okay. Then you send them hours to write. Right during these hours. I think it's better for you.
But like she makes them write when they're drunk. She's like, see here, you were drunk here. Turns out that is a method.
Right. I saw, you know what, Liz, I was seeing your Twitter and it looked like there was a big break in you posting. I see in January you're posting, then all of a sudden it's 2013. Were you off it and now you're back on to promote your book?
Yeah, I was off it because I realized I wasn't good at it. Okay. And so I decided to lower the embarrassment factor of my life for a little while. And then my publicist kind of gave me a little bit of an elbow once we started with book promotion, was like, you need to get back on here.
I saw a tweet that I liked very much. It was a picture of your two kids on a couch with pillows in front of their faces. And she says, I tell my kids, why do you think I'm so oblivious? But then I'm like, look at what great hiders we have. I can't even find you. That is a great point. I think it also works in reverse. Like my dad keeps looking at me like I'm an idiot because he had to wipe my asshole. That was 5 decades ago. But here we are,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. Big news. Tom Brady has confirmed his retirement. 22 seasons, 7 Super Bowl wins. Nobody's close. No team even has 7 Super Bowls, but he has 7 Super Bowl wins. Who's going to be the next fucking greatest? Henda?
Another Brady, I assume. Aren't there 5 of them?
John Brady.
Is that true?
No.
Is it Jesus Brady? Manning. I'm sorry. Let's see. Who knows how to cry like a Brady?
Liz, do we care about Tom Brady retiring?
It is like you guys are talking Greek right now. I am not with the sport.
Oh my God. Did I convince you I know what I'm talking about?
That was very credible. I totally believed you.
That's what I'm going to do in Spain. I'm going to be like, yo, totally hablo español.
How many people are crying? Like, I was there for Tom the whole time. You get into it. We say our team, that kind of thing. In fact, I was watching the last games last weekend and I was so into it. And I happened to be smoking weed, but I was so into it that after a commercial, the game came on and I went, oh shit. And I went to grab my Xbox controller. And then I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
I love that one.
Yeah. Now, I want to be clear. I didn't actually grab it. I just went to. So I did catch myself.
Well, you have to clarify.
Right. This weekend is the Super Bowl. No, next weekend. Excuse me. In 2 weeks is the Super Bowl. The marathon's this weekend.
That's our Super Bowl.
That's right. LA Rams and Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm in Aries. So we're going LA Rams.
I want to go LA Rams because I feel like they are ramming into each other. So if they stay on brand, then that makes sense. You see that, Liz? That's all you have to say. Just say stupid shit like that.
I'm taking notes.
I just talked football with Keith. He thinks he knows football, but he's listening to me like I'm a football thing.
A football thing. Bet the farm. That's the lesson. And speaking of Cincinnati, Howard Hesseman, who played Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP in Cincinnati, passed away. 81 years old, cancer, of course. Who doesn't have it? Sure. Of course. Complications from colon surgery that he first had last summer.
Oh, damn.
He happened to be a real life DJ back in the 60s. He was also the teacher on head of the class.
Oh, okay.
He was in Spinal Tap.
WKRP in Cincinnati. That's the only thing I knew about Cincinnati. And anytime somebody says the word Cincinnati, That plays in my head.
Of course.
Yeah. So shout out to Cincinnati. You lost one.
That was the original NewsRadio, right?
Oh, and I loved NewsRadio.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was. I didn't really, I must have watched it because I got that jingle in my head from somewhere. But
Right.
NewsRadio stuck with me more, I think, because I was older. That was our introduction to Joe Rogan.
Mhm.
Oh, I was floored. Everything. He wasn't on that much. He
Right.
was like a guest that they would throw in here and again. And Andy Dick was on that show, right?
Yes.
So he would kind of bully Andy Dick, but only by, getting near him. And it was so interesting because we didn't have characters like that on shows where he was like a jock looking guy, a real tough guy. And he came to fix your computers and, was the only thought out person talking sometimes in the room. And I was like, what is this new version of man that exists out there? Like my little kid brain was like, is he a pussy or is he like a bully? And I was like, can you be both? Can you have muscles and think? What's happening? Are my parents wrong? Is society wrong? But meanwhile, I'm not smoking weed, so I don't know that I'm thinking this. I'm only feeling it. So that's a lesson.
Was he smart on that show or was he accidentally smart, the character?
No, he was computer savvy and smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big football news. Since you guys are into this so far, the Washington Redskins over 3 years have finally decided on a new name. They figured it out. Over 1,000 days, they sat down.
Is it the Blueskins? Because red wasn't really what they meant by that.
It was nothing about Indians.
No.
It is now the Washington Commanders.
Okay. That's a good one.
You think so? I mean, maybe it just has to take time. Like I'm sure Led Zeppelin sounded stupid at first, but
no, that sounds cool right away. No,
the Commanders.
It's a little like military nautical.
Yes.
Yes. I see that. And I think that's the discomfort there. I think you hit it right on, Liz. But I don't know. Some football teams are so stupid. Like the only good football name is Warriors. And you already have that somewhere, right?
Warriors. They're definitely a basketball team, but Commanders. I don't know. I think I'd rather be called football team. But maybe it just has to grow on you, And we didn't know right away that. What's that, Liz?
It was just football team for a while because, I think it's like Doritos sells the bags of chips with the football team of whatever city in that city. Right. And so I live in Washington, D.C. now. And for the last year, the Doritos bags has just had this giant W on the front, like no explanation at all, just generic football.
Yeah, I'd be a little embarrassed walking around with a Washington football. It says football team, Washington football team shirt. People are like, oh, can't figure it out yet? Nah, not yet. Me and the boys, we haven't come up with the perfect name. And somebody said Commanders and everybody came. So here we are.
But that's going to be the joke, right? Commanders. I don't know. I feel like we'll find it. Commanders, we're going to find the joke for you. In the meantime, enjoy.
I think that's the joke in and of itself. I want to tell you about, Kenda didn't hear about this, Whoopi Goldberg controversy. She, of course, is in charge. She's the in-charge host at The View. And she was talking about the book Mouse, M-A-U-S. And Liz, what's this book about?
Oh, Mouse, it's a graphic novel / memoir that takes place during the Holocaust, in which the Jews are mice and the Nazis are cats. And
a mouse wrote this.
Yeah, that's the most amazing part.
This is amazing.
Scribbles with its little hands.
And they're saying, do we take it out of schools? But it's just the fact that mice wrote it.
Yeah, so they want to take it out of the schools, not, as I understand it, because of the Nazis, but because one of the mice is naked. I will leave you with that image. Yeah.
Oh, and you said it's a graphic novel, so it's like a comic book. And what do you?
That's really graphic.
What do I say?
Probably a lot of them.
A big mice stick. Well, yeah, just right. Yeah, right. If they're getting in those showers, they're naked. You're not wanking off the mice in Holocaust showers. Oh, well, Whoopi Goldberg got in trouble because she said, look, if you're going to do this, talk about the Holocaust, let's be truthful about it. The Holocaust isn't about race. And everybody, they're picking their jaws off the floor. It's not about race. It's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
Oh, she's smoking the wrong thing. What?
I think she's just trying to be deep, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like everything isn't about anything. It's just about how you treat your fellow person. It's that simple.
Right.
But this is ridiculous.
Hurt people. And she drops the mic.
Co-host Anna Navarro said the genocide was, quote, about white supremacy and going after Jews and gypsies and Roma. Goldberg responded, it was two white groups of people, though. The minute you turn it into race, this is WHOOPI, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody, whatever that sentence meant.
Oh, did they check if she was having a stroke?
Take her to the hospital immediately. So they put her on the Colbert show.
Respirator? Oh, Colbert show.
That night, they put her on the same channel, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And he brought it up thinking, all right, say something stupid and then you can go back on your show tomorrow, it sounds like.
Like at this point, he assumed that somebody talked to her and played what she said. And she was like, oh, it came off weird. I know what I'm going to say now.
Of course I know. Hello, it's Stephen race.
Colbert. Yeah. And it's so funny because here's an opportunity that you get every day to speak on The View. And then when you oopsie, you get a second opportunity that right. day. And then I wonder, and I don't know the end of this, if she comes on and goes, what can I say? I'm like, I don't know. You keep getting booked a lot. We're relying on it. That's your job. Right. You can say a lot.
Yeah, I would expect you just go, yeah, I get it. Of course, it's about race. I think I was just being trite and I was saying, it's about people. That came off dumb. But no, she said, you can't call this racism. This was evil. This wasn't based on the color of people's skin.
What does she think racism is?
I don't know, but something's in those vapes she's taking. That's what I
don't want to blame this on weed, but it does feel like she's trying to be deep and hasn't fully drawn a line between that deep thought and what reality is.
Jews and Nazis are, quote, two groups of white people. So it's about the inhumanity. Simply. By the way, obviously Whoopi Goldberg isn't her real name. That'd be a wild name. So that's interesting. It's a Jewish name. Is that more offensive to Jews this literal second?
I don't know what could be more offensive than what she just said. It was so fucking stupid. It's hard to be more offensive.
She said on Colbert, quote, I think of race as being something I can see. So she, she sees Jewish people as white. And so then it can't be about race. She's been banned from The View for 2 weeks. Kim Godwin, president of ABC News. Effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. So give her time to go to a fucking museum.
What did you do? When you get suspended from school, it's also a dumb fucking thing because it's like, what are we teaching anything? What happens when she comes back? That was a fun vacation. Anyway, I'm back for no reason.
If you can't come back and go, you see it in person, it's different. Like what could she learn?
Also, what would it take for her to lose her job? She already said it's not rape. She said, I forget the other. Now she's
Harvey Weinstein didn't commit. Was it Harvey? No, Roman Polanski didn't commit rape. That's just Hollywood stuff.
Wow.
And so she got in a little trouble in that. But what's funny is the 2 weeks is just supposed to satisfy us, which is just strange. So you're going to come, hey, I learned my lesson after 2 weeks. By the way, I'm still in charge. Next topic.
Yeah, the 2 weeks is so that we can have, 2 weeks of other news cycles to be mad at. And then it's like, can we have Whoopi back? We weren't that mad, Mom.
I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. Well, I would assume, Kim.
Wow.
But okay.
Amazing.
Do you stand by us, Kim? Yeah. Not that I'm Jewish, but okay. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Let's see.
What are you standing by with?
Yeah, I stand by you. Okay. Can you pick up my laundry? Because the kids are really acting up today. Thank you, ABC News organization, for standing by what? We're people that it was about race.
It's like another version of I have a black friend. It's like, do you?
Can we call that friend? Because we would like some external validation here.
Well, here's something she said. As Jonathan Greenblatt from the Anti-Defamation League shared, this is WHOOPI, the Holocaust was about the Nazi systematic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed to be an inferior race. I stand corrected, she said. You better be one of these people that learns something every day.
That's like Chappelle finally looking up the word feminist. Yeah. And he's like, turns out, not what I was doing. Okay.
Did you guys know this? Did you guys know the meaning of a word?
Did you know that there was a dictionary in my pocket at this point for years? Interesting. See, but not everybody got the experience that Keith had growing up, where when you did something wrong or your father thought you did something wrong, you got hit with the encyclopedia volume S.
Right.
So he had a lot of access to these books.
Yeah, I got the information beaten into me.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's like, "Do you want to know about the Holocaust?" I'm like, "No, that section looks thick. Holy shit, that's gonna hurt." WHOOPI has shown, this is the president of ABC again. WHOOPI has shown through her actions of many years that she understands the horrors of the Holocaust.
You have to say that about an adult talking for a living person.
How did it come up?
Yeah, throughout the years, we really thought she had this understanding. Like every time we bring up the Holocaust, WHOOPI's interacting like she knows what we're talking about. So this is actually a surprise.
She knows not good.
Yeah.
Whatever way went not good. How would it come up? And that's today's fall fashions. WHOOPI. Sorry, guys. I was just thinking about the fucking Holocaust. God damn, not good. All right, we'll be right back with something pithy. Let's see here. While WHOOPI has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect. We're all on your side. And that's that. All right, so 2 weeks. You know what? I just picture are you a viewer and you just go, I can't see her for 2 weeks. She really pushed it.
They're being so nice in that. What did you just read? What's that called?
Yeah, right. The statement, whatever.
They're being so nice. But if I heard this coming from someone that I hired to be a host on my network, I'd be like, hey, we're horrified at this. We know the Holocaust is this way. And we don't understand where this is coming from a host that we have seen have very intelligent conversations. We don't understand why. And and we're asking her to go sit down and think about it. What is she thinking about? That's in her head. Have
a rabbi that knows how to talk, as opposed to trying to tell jokes all day. I see these guys. Have a rabbi on the show for 5 minutes and explain why it's about race. I do understand.
Don't let her. She can't outsource her homework. I need a report. 25 pages.
I'm good with the report. Yeah.
And the topic is easy. WHOOPI, you seem to know a lot. What was the Holocaust about for real? Race? Not race.
And then she's like, it was about shoes. WHOOPI, did you just skim the pictures? WHOOPI? All right, I'll be back in 2 weeks.
It was about striped pajamas. Or she just writes like a summary of Schindler's List. Like, totally get it now.
I don't know if she has to do what I did at the Holocaust Museum, but I ignore that sign that says, please don't touch things. And I touched everything so I can feel it extra. It's powerful shit. It's powerful stuff. I guarantee that there's something that a non-Jewish person doesn't know and learns at the Holocaust Museum. For example,
even Jewish people. I mean, I did learn about it a lot growing up and I went to yeshiva, but I feel like you pick up something. They tell you like a why. There's so much happened that when they showed the video of how he came into power, you learn something all the time. It's a fucking world war. There's no way I know everything that happened. You're always learning something.
I didn't know it took America so long to act. So long. I didn't know that it was the Catholics that brought up Jews being the devil in the first place that Hitler grabbed hold of. It should be mandatory you go to this museum. You should go as a school trip. What am I looking at? A fucking dinosaur? You made dinosaurs boring. Oh, an airplane. Am I getting in it? Who gives a fuck?
Oh, God.
But the Holocaust Museum, that's a real museum. I stand by.
Speaking of, here's something that, kind of embarrassed to admit. I didn't know Anne Frank's place was in the Netherlands. I never really put it together. And even when people were like, yeah, the Anne Frank Museum, when I went to Amsterdam, the line was too long. I keep hearing Amsterdam and I keep thinking Germany, But so since we're going to Amsterdam, if we can get what do you call that? A spot to get in. I am very curious. I'm very curious what that attic looks like. I think it's very strange that we're going into this little girl's diary but I want to see. I've pictured it in my head my whole life because I've been told this story my whole life, and I think that'll be interesting.
But
I feel like a creep. I feel like a creep.
Maybe she doesn't want you there, right? Remember Justin Bieber? Be careful what you write in the guest book. Justin Bieber, remember he wrote, "Anne Frank, I know if you were around, you'd be a believer. Love, Justin." And he got in trouble for that. So you gotta plan what you write in this guest book. It's not private. It's not the holy wall. People read this shit.
Can I run it past you? What I was thinking of writing?
Sure.
Miss Frank, if you were around, I think you'd really benefit from OMAC Club during the war. Is that wrong?
1 minute of dealing with procrastination, 1 minute of plank, 1 minute of contacting somebody close to you, 1 minute of it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt.
Quick Zoom call. All right. I apologize.
Before we're canceled, ironically, I want to talk about this memoir. You discovered, Liz, that your mom. This is the description. You realize that your mom made up who your father was.
Yep.
That's what I mean by reference to Pearl Jam's Alive. As she aged, you had to keep taking care of her. And you're realizing she's mentally ill. And that's what you write about. What did you understand at first who your dad was? Was it a physical person that you met?
No. So I knew that my father was dead, that he had died during my mother's pregnancy with me. Okay. But she had made up stories, and told me a name and how they had met and, what their relationship was like and described him. And then one day when I was about 18, my mother came into the room to tell me two things. That number one, this guy she had made up, that she had told me was my father, was totally made up, complete fiction, soup to nuts.
Down to the name.
Now, why that day? Or you don't know? Is it because you find out later mental illness or?
No, it was because she got stuck. So I grew up in Manhattan, so I didn't know how to drive. There's no driver's ed. Like nobody has a car that you can learn on. It's not a thing. Right. But I was away at college, so I'm going to get a learner's permit. So she comes into the room clearly having wrestled with this question and says, so I have to talk to you about something. You can't get a learner's permit. And I was like, okay, why? And she says, well, you need ID and you don't have a birth certificate. And I said, okay, why? And she said, well, I was married when you were born, but not to your father. So it turns out that this thing, number one, this guy she's told me is complete fiction. And that number two, until I was in high school, she was married to some guy I had never heard of.
Stop it. I just got chills.
I know. Imagine how I felt. Until I was 16 or 17 when he died, she had been married.
What? Wait, am I getting this right? She was married. You lived with her growing up.
I did, yes.
She was married and he was hidden your entire life.
It was another Anne Frank situation. No, sorry. Now I'll be canceled. No, they had separated before she met my father, and he was abusive. She had called the police and locked the doors and blah, 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 and he left. And he moved to Israel, and they never spoke again, as far as I'm aware, but they never divorced. And so she remained married to him until his death.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So your dad died and the husband died.
Yep.
So who did she say your dad was?
So she told me he was a Vietnam vet and that his name was Warren Stephen Livingston, a nice Jewish name. So when I'm about 9 years old, I open the Manhattan White Pages and then she's out of the house for like an hour and I call all the Livingstons to see if they know someone by that name. And it's like,
wait, are you 9?
Like something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. What was his first name?
Warren.
Hello, it's Warren there?
Yeah. Well, I was like, are you related to anyone by this name? And so it's New Yorkers, right? So like, what? Who are you, kid? And none of them knew it. And like,
but all the men were like shaking in their boots because
exactly.
They can't. You have no way to know until some kid calls you up and goes, "Eat my daddy."
Right. They go, no way. Exactly. And you go, no way.
Exactly.
No way.
Well, because that's what I figured, right? Like it was a step. I knew she was lying, right? I knew there was something in that story that was not correct, but I didn't know what it was. And so to me, the most natural assumption was that he was still alive somewhere. And so because I was a kid and it's all about the self-legendizing, I was like, maybe he's an astronaut, like abandoned on a distant planet, or maybe he's like wrongfully imprisoned or mistaken identity. And then
with a name like that, I mean, the guy has class. Yeah,
exactly. And then as a teenager, I was like, maybe he's married. But no, it turns out he actually was dead, just in a very different circumstance than she had told me.
So was this the day, did you have questions and were they answered on the same day?
I had a lot of questions. She was clearly pretty upset and did not want to answer them. But later in life, I ended up, she told me his real name. And so I ended up hiring a private investigator to see if he had any family living. And he did have a sister who was a little not excited to have the past come up again. I think they had not gotten along very well. And he had also been married at the time, married and separated. And so I made contact with his wife, who has been so nice to me, because this was a complete surprise to her, right? She did not know about the relationship with my mother. Oh. And so she certainly, this is like 35 years later, by that point, she certainly did not expect someone to be writing to her being like, hey, I am your dead husband's child. So
oh boy.
She really gets serious kudos for being so sweet about it.
Now, just to be clear, did you said that was she saying that your dad was still alive?
No, I just thought that he might be.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Like her child brain was saying that,
right.
Which that's so interesting that you knew she was lying about something. And I guess
it was just too weird, right? Like people don't disappear off the face of the earth. She didn't have any pictures. None of her friends and family had known him. There was no like belongings anywhere. There are all these stories about how like she'd borrowed a pantsuit for the wedding and then given it back. She'd burned all the pictures after he died. Like even as a young kid, you know that all those things together just do not add up.
Oh man, I was naive as fuck. You know how long it took me to understand, wait a minute, my parents could just say shit? Say shit. And by the way, our parents are very, very secretive, like this generation in general. Mm-hmm. And it's like, hey, remember Uncle so-and-so was around? No, there wasn't an uncle like that. It's like, oh, well, now I got to hire a private investigator to know if I have diabetes because my doctor is asking and you're being secretive. Your stupid secrets are costing people so much money. How much is a private investigator, if I may?
Have you looked it up?
So actually, my girlfriend at the time's family heard about the story and was horrified, and they did the hiring. So I'm ashamed to say I don't know.
That's lovely.
But, yeah, I feel like really the theme of this is lots of people have been really nice to me about this.
That's really great.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So what do you think your mom was hiding the most about this guy? Why were people? Yeah, when you say him and his sister didn't get along, I've not gotten along with people, but for someone's kid to come to you and you're like horrified to even talk about your brother, that's got to be something.
Yeah. So I know this is a comedy podcast, so I'm going to get into the super depressing part of this, like right now.
Yeah, sure.
So apparently my maternal grandmother was an alcoholic. Like she spent most of their childhood sort of prostrate on the floor, having passed out. And my father was an alcoholic. And he and his wife were going to split up because she couldn't live with his drinking anymore. And so they split up for a while. He's seeing my mother. They're going to get back together. He's about to move into the house. He comes up to the apartment, is drunk. She turns him away and says this was not her agreement. He leaves the apartment, goes up to the roof of the building, and jumps off.
Jumps off.
Jumps off. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think some of the difficulty in the household there was just the repetition of these tragedies across the generations. I think just nobody wanted it raised again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for being on, Liz. See you later. Wow. Have you and your mom, because you're writing a memoir now, have you spoken to your mom about, is this okay? Oh, wait, but she's having trouble now.
So it would have to be via medium. She died about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. Do you feel any which way, like my mother would feel uncomfortable or?
Yeah. So people ask me that a lot. And I think that if she were alive, part of her would be so furious because she was furious about most stuff, but also the rest of her would be sitting in the front row at Barnes & Noble with her like 64-ounce thing of orange soda that she drank all the time, being like, that's my daughter, because, Jewish mother.
Oh, wow. Yeah. 64 ounces?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She needed sugar.
Is that the size of your head?
It was one of those medieval times mugs, so like for a gladiator, I guess, or for a jouster, except old lady from Queens.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when people write memoirs, they talk about because you're unearthing and you have to put this very articulately, that you kind of go through a breakdown of your own. And a lot of times people are not nice to their partners, spouses, or whatever. Did you experience any of that?
Well, that's why I'm not going to let you talk to my husband right now. But yeah, so I wrote I started writing it during the last year of her life when I went back from maternity leave with my second child. And then I had 2 kids under a year and a half because we are dumb. And so I go back and I'm like, the only time that I have to myself is this hour at lunch, right? This is the only time I have childcare and can sit down. And so 2 days a week I went to the gym, and 3 days a week I started on this project. Because at the time my mother was being evicted. Her mental illness was combining with dementia and things were going a little bit poorly. So I just needed someplace to like put all the stress about it. And then when she died...
Sorry, is there any way to know this? When she was young and she's making up these stories and lying to you, is that related to the dementia she has now? Do you have any idea if she was just a liar or she was fucked up? It makes it easier to forgive.
So my mother had borderline personality disorder and pretty severe anxiety and claustrophobia. She didn't leave the house much when I was growing up, and finally didn't leave her bedroom or ultimately her bed. But yeah, she was very untruthful about a lot of things. She had me living under a fake Social Security number. She, again, did not get a birth certificate for me. So we lived a little bit off the grid in that sense. And there was this whole like fake life.
Look at that stupid piece of paper. The stupid piece of paper that it's mandatory that you have one, that they give you one. Do you have your driver's license? Did you figure that out?
I do now. How you can petition the court to file for a birth certificate if one is not initially filed for you. She had me at home.
I swear I'm here.
So nobody made her do it. Yep.
Picture explain that. I have enough trouble with the DMV as is. Picture you going in there. Like, I don't have anything because I wasn't born under your laws. Like, what the fuck? Get out.
Well,
I'm sorry, I cut you off, but she passed away. And what did you realize?
So she passed away, and I looked down and realized I had like half a book written. And so I thought, let me just see if I can finish this. And another year later, I had a manuscript and went to a friend who was an agent who, thank God, liked it because I did not have a plan B, and sold it. And now in a couple of weeks, it's going to be out there in the world, which is terrifying.
And what a big deal, a memoir. And then they could turn you down. That's your life.
Yep.
This isn't exciting. I have ulcers. You're wrong. Do you have any siblings?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
We'll see after the book comes out.
Right.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Put his picture on the back.
There's a sequel. Bad news is, make sure you do you have a picture of you on the back of this?
I do. Let's see if anybody thinks it looks like them.
All right. Oh, man. This is in the description. On an uneventful afternoon, when Scheier was 18, her mother sauntered into the room to tell her 2 important things. 1, she had been married for most of Scheier's life to a man she'd never heard of. And 2, the man she told Scheier was her father was entirely fictional. Let's see, she built up, made fake security, all that. On a hot July day, 20 years later, Scheier received a voicemail from Adult Protective Services reporting that Judith had stopped paying rent and is refusing all offers of assistance. What's your move right when you hear that? Do you think you're going to move in with me, or that's too much?
No, I at the time had an infant and was pregnant, and my mother was pretty violent, and so I was not willing to have her move in and be around the kids. But it was a pretty striking moment. I was not expecting that particular twist in her story.
Violent to your body?
Yes.
Okay. And you still had love for her. That's always interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about someone who has that kind of illness, right? Is that they can cause a lot of damage, but they're still people. And like what you said, Hamda, I mean, even jokingly, hurt people. Like that all came out because she had been hurt so badly and because a lot of pretty terrible things happened to her. So it's kind of hard to know how to address it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to see if you're getting emotional as you're talking about this, and just if you're comfortable with talking about this, even though like you wrote the memoir, but now you actually have to openly talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's, I'm definitely comfortable talking about it. I think it's going to be interesting hearing people's responses to it. Because one of the things about having an elderly parent, I mean, when your parents get elderly, often you find yourself caring for them in one way or another, right? But when you throw mental illness into that issue, that's sort of an extra spin to it. So in the last 3 years of my mother's life, when she had stopped paying rent, a lot of it was just about trying to keep her housed. And she did ultimately end up going to a homeless shelter. And I'm just sort of bracing for the 1-star reviews, right, that are not about the book, but are about the fact that I let my mother go to a homeless shelter. And there's going to be lots of people who feel that way. And a lot of the days I feel that way too. But, you know, you make the most of what you have at the moment.
What are your thoughts on the Holocaust?
No naked mice.
Keith, is this hitting you because your mom is in a home because of the mental illness that she is progressively experiencing?
She wasn't violent. She went from, you know, she was sweet for the most part, you know, once every so often, of course, she'd snap like a mom with 5 kids would, but, you know, nothing, you know, just like, what the I have a liar for a son now? And I'm like, oh, it's not that big a deal. I'm 12. I lied, you know. But no, it wouldn't be anything too much.
Did you just have a flashback in front?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did your mom get nervous that you're a liar?
Yeah, and it's probably because my dad was a chronic liar. Is what I'm figuring out now. Yeah.
Right. Oh,
I can't deal with only so many liars.
Right. Oh God, he got to you. Ooh.
I'm already banging one every household. 5 years. What was that, Liz?
It was a quota: 1 liar per household.
Yes. But then she started getting dementia, and if anything, she was probably, not that she was bad, but she was probably even sweeter. And until, you know, she literally can't communicate. When you're dealing with your mom can still talk. Does she keep trying to trick you with bullshit as time goes on? Like, Mom, I'm the only one who knows all these real stories. I'm gonna have to quit coming if you keep doing this.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly had her stories about how the world had worked, and about how our lives had been that were not entirely accurate. But what became interesting is that it wasn't just about. So people with borderline personality disorder, it often comes out in rage and sadness, right? So it's just a lot of those emotions. But when
borderline, like you're always on the border of having a reaction to your feelings?
It's the border between neurosis and psychosis.
That doesn't sound like a border.
It doesn't sound bad.
It's a very tricky border. It's similar to narcissistic personality disorder, which maybe you might be a little more familiar with. But things would start happening like, okay, so picture this. I'm about 24, 25 years old, in a supermarket, choosing between pasta, and the story is in the book. So my mother calls me, and it is her mother's yahrzeit. So for the Gentiles among us, a yahrzeit is the anniversary of someone's death. So her mother has been dead for many, many years, but she still feels sad around that time of year.
You guys don't have all that food and stuff again, do you?
No.
Okay. Because I haven't been invited to any.
And so she calls and is, you know, doing the usual narrative about how much she misses her, and I'm being as sympathetic as I can. And she says, you know, but what I'm really concerned about is that she may be lonely down there in her grave. And that was kind of a new one for me. That's not really a thing we believe. Mm-hmm. And so I said something comforting, like, you know, just her body, not her soul, not really there. And she said, I know it still worries me though, but I have a solution and we can fix this. And I'm like, I do not like the sound of that we.
Sounds like you're getting shovels. Yeah.
Well, funny you say that. She says, so what I want you to do, Elizabeth, what I want you to do is have a stillborn child that we will bury in the grave with her. Now, at this stage in my life, I am A, not pregnant, B, dating women, so unlikely to become pregnant accidentally, right. And C, unlikely to try to engineer a stillbirth. You know, I'm not trying. I don't want to make light of this stillbirth. Very tragic. Obviously.
But you got to time it just right. Like, did she have a diet planned for you?
A regimen of bleach, unclear, not sure. But, you know, and then that's when it sort of becomes, funny is not the word, but you kind of have to realize how funny it is that my super unathletic elderly Jewish mother is going to be like in a cemetery by moonlight with like a little bundle under her arm and a shovel.
Oh my God. Wow.
So it's when those things start happening where it's not just the like over rage and over sadness, but it actually starts skewing into like things that do not jive with reality, that you realize you're in a different land now.
How about a dead dog?
You know? All right, Peter's calling. It's still.
I did not have the presence of mind to suggest that. I should have.
Yes.
Contact a shelter and you explain. You know.
Well, but isn't that one of? Does she follow up on that? And is there a fear that she would somehow try to follow through on some of these ideas, or are they just forgotten with the next thought?
Luckily, that one was forgotten.
Okay. And in general, does she forget the out of sync schemes that she tries to put together? Is it just a thought?
Yeah, I think they were mostly in reaction. Like at my wedding, for example, when we were like the quartet had already started playing the music, she decided she was going to walk me down the aisle. We had never discussed this. I was in my late 30s. Nobody's walking anybody anywhere. And so she goes to the lobby and informs the rabbi and the security force that if she's not allowed to walk me down the aisle, she's going to stop the whole ceremony. Meanwhile, they're already like setting up the chuppah in the front.
Did you agree to it?
No. We ultimately did calm her down by delaying the ceremony a little bit, but the next day she would have told you it never happened.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's extra exhausting.
Yeah. But also like the more days that pass since then, the funnier it gets, right?
Sure. I'm picturing that when my mom passes, I will be relief. I think I can't understand, anything she's trying to communicate. Any doctor is guessing if she is giving something the thumbs up or thumbs down. I think she'd have peace. She looks scared as opposed to pleased to see family. What was going through your head when that happened to your mom?
She never reached that point when she did not recognize us. And I'm very sorry to hear that. That must be a really hard situation for her.
I'm sorry too.
Just odd. Your family. Thank you. Liz was more sorry. Thank you, Liz.
But she just, things got more and more challenging for her, and then homeless shelter, and then gone.
Okay.
So there's
did she die in a homeless shelter?
She did not. So we ultimately got her out of the shelter into a Coney Island assisted living facility called, wait for it, Mermaid Manor.
Mm.
Oh boy.
Which sounds like an 80s sitcom, right? Like it's amazing that places like this exist.
Right.
And she lived there.
The caretaker's Johnny Mermaid. Yeah.
Scott Baio's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And she lived there for a couple of weeks before telling them that she had some sort of physical ailment and got taken to the hospital, where they gave her a lot of painkillers, which is what I think she was looking for, and she died.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So she was good at orchestrating a plan.
Very
she
good.
Remembered. Oh.
Very good.
She overdosed, you're saying, right?
No. I think she just wanted to be more comfortable. And so she went somewhere that they could shoot her up, and she did a little better.
Tell me, maybe I missed something. This is a dumb question. So the dad is your father is really dead, but was he supposedly out there doing things in the world?
No, he was actually dead. I just, as a child, was, I don't think I could make the mental leap from dead, but in a different way than the dead that was presented. Right. And so I assumed he must be alive.
Okay. I guess at least everybody was dead.
Yeah. Safely dead as expected.
And you didn't, but hearing weird lies about different things, I would assume, as you were older than 9, did you think maybe I should look for him anyway? Or did you figure out on your own that this was the truth?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I needed somebody with a PI license to do that part.
Okay, I got you. This is how exciting! Your life is so exciting. Are you going to tell your kids about your husband?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, they're young, right? They're way too young now, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
they wouldn't understand, right? How old are they?
They're 4 and 5.
Okay, yeah, that's too little.
I'm not sure they know who I am most days, so like the whole like dead grandparent thing is beyond them.
They probably can't tell the difference between the two parents. They're just like, one of you. It doesn't matter. Well,
I was wondering for a while why they never asked me where my parents are, right? Because they're super into my husband's parents. They're very close to them. They love their grandparents. And I was like, why do they never ask me about mine? So we finally figured this out a couple months ago. They believe my husband and I to be brother and sister.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, so that's your parent. That makes sense.
In a super squeaky kid way, it definitely does.
Are they?
Yeah, you might want to clear that up since they're siblings also.
Yeah. Are they boys, girls, other? What are we talking about?
One boy, one girl, as far as we're aware.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Man, there's time until like some permanent damage can happen, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we haven't started that yet.
I have to see. They're 18. I have to sit you down.
Yeah.
We're not brother and sister.
Therapy fund.
When your mom was going to be evicted, is this when you sold your eggs for money to help her out?
Yes. So the first time that she ran into financial trouble, I was about 25 or 26, and I was working in publishing, which meant I had 3 or 4 part-time jobs also. And that was enough to support me, but not to support her. So I went to a clinic and did in total 3 egg donation cycles.
Doesn't that hurt?
So much. Still on medication from it.
It's got to be because supposedly I'll get $50 for my sperm. You get $8,000. I'd like to think there's a little difference.
A little bit. Not as much fun for me, I don't think.
I came in. How did you do it? I came in. I needed this money bad, right? We always need the money. We're not thinking about the families per se at first. I come in with a New York Times under my arm, and I'm like, "Hello, where do I donate my pleasures?" And then they're like, "Do you in this room, here's lotion. Do you want some porn?" And I'm like, and then I look at my paper. I'm like, okay. And I didn't have the entertainment section. I had like the boring shit. And I go, you know what? Let's see what you have actually. And then I jerked off, but I needed so much lotion that I really think, if anything took, it's a half man, half lotion baby out there. But that was the test. And then I was supposed to call and find out if I could keep coming back for $50. But then I got a regular job, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that because you can only jerk off or have sex every so often. I'm like, well, this is a weird.
You have to keep up your
lifestyle.
Subscription to the Times. I mean,
yes,
so much effort.
Just to keep it going. Like, wait a second, I have Mad Magazine. Gotcha, fuckers. Where's the room? It's this way. I know where it is. Brought my own magazine.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Liz was? Yeah, exactly my experience. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. Meanwhile, you go, like, I didn't even want to ask any questions. I didn't want to rock the boat, But when you went, what was your experience like?
I mean, it's pretty awful. So they had me on a drug that is now used for gender affirmation surgery for teenagers. So it's really strong. I developed hypothyroid as a result.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Super fun.
What does that mean?
An endocrine disorder.
What's the gender affirmation mean?
So if a transgender kid is taking hormones to stop puberty.
Oh, okay. And now you have what? An overactive thyroid?
Underactive.
And no warning about a problem, right? I assume? No, of course not.
Nope.
And are you now, it sounds like are you very much against egg donation, or are you
against the
just trying to keep an eye on it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really complicated question, right? So I'm involved in a global support network for egg donors, and so I sort of have followed how the industry has changed over the years, and it's become a lot worse. So I had about 35 eggs taken each time. They now hyperstimulate donors. It's very, very common for our donors to produce 60 to 80 eggs every time, and we have a couple who have hit 90 a couple of times. That is obviously super unsafe, right? Wow. So the treatment of donors is a concern for me, and also anonymous donation is terrible. And I'm pretty ashamed that I did it in the first place. Because I just didn't think about it.
Because the child should know who the mom is?
Yeah, the child should know who their genetic parent is. And I feel like this is not knowing who my father was really damaging and hurtful to me as a kid. And I just did the same thing to somebody
Liz, can
else.
I tell you a little secret? I knew who my father was. Still don't know shit about my genetics. So it's kind of a toss up anyway, if that helps.
Yeah. If I didn't know my father, we might get along.
No, you'd kill him.
But if I didn't know anything about it.
But then you wouldn't have any empathy.
Do you equate it to human trafficking?
I know some donor conceived people equate it to human trafficking. I feel like that's a call for them to make, not for me.
Okay. But you don't.
Doesn't sound like agreement.
Do you or don't?
Let's ask Whoopi.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anonymous donation is indefensible.
Okay.
That much I'll say.
And there's no way, like, I wouldn't even ask you, did you try to meet any of these people you might have birthed? There's no way for you to try, is there?
Yeah. So I called the clinic and they said they would put a Post-it in my file, which is, not
a Post-it.
A Post-it. No, it is 2022, friends and neighbors, Post-it.
But I'm really surprised they didn't just flat out tell you, no, of course not. You know this.
Yeah, a lot of clinics and agencies do just say no.
Okay.
And I did DNA testing. So if the kids know that they are donor conceived, and if they want to, they will do DNA testing when they're 18, and that'll be it.
Have you had dreams about that? Like you go on Ancestry, then this kid later is on Ancestry, and you just see each other and hug and cry. You ever dream about it?
I've thought about it. I mean, mostly what I think about is somebody said earlier, like, your kids don't know anything right now. They don't understand family stuff. I don't know how I would explain to my kids, like, you maybe have half siblings, but maybe not. Right. That's a tough one.
So I don't think I would between
tell them until I know.
You marrying your brother, and
I know.
Everybody else is just nervous about birds and bees as is.
Family full of secrets.
You got a lot going on. Yeah. Are you going to mention it to them, do you think? Like, hey, I don't know. Enough, I did this when I was young. Yeah.
I mean, definitely if we find somebody, right?
Sure.
I don't know how to tell them a hypothetical.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why people don't tell their kids things. This is not like an illegal underground thing that you like. There's nothing but information here. I think it's so interesting. Like, I feel like people expect their children to be mad at stuff, but I feel like a lot of times when kids have the reaction, they're reacting to your reaction. Like, if you're upset about it, and if you act like it's this illegal mastermindy thing that they need to look out for, or you were trying to do this very kind thing in a lot of different ways, it's kind, and the result is this stuff is out there. I don't know.
Did they just use one egg? Like, they hold up the best egg, or do they use all 30 eggs and put it in something? I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on if they have to account for anything on the father's side, right? Like, if I'm a carrier for something and the father's a carrier, they would need to, like, pick the embryos that aren't. I don't really know how that side works.
Could they, like, do you think you're only donating? Do you think you're only donating to one family, right?
Yes, but they then can donate the embryos wherever they want.
So like, that's not nice. I'd like to know, I think, right? What I'm doing. So you do, but they don't tell you who the family is. They just tell you it's a family.
Yeah.
They're pretty generic. Exactly. Okay. And Liz donated a kidney.
I did. I didn't know who that was either. It's just anonymity all around.
Wow.
Really? You can visit your kidney?
That would be hilarious. Maybe they miss each other.
That'd be something. You donate a kidney. You see, if I donated a kidney to somebody close to me, it'd be so hard. Like, when we're out eating, I'm not judging him. You know, he's having wine, and I'm like, really? Yeah. It's one glass case. I'm like, just saying. Yeah.
What made you? Yeah.
I got it. Take it. What made you give
kind of. So I made contact with an old friend who had been on the list for a long time, and we were not a match. But by the time we figured out that he was not able to receive at that time, I had already done the whole, like, 2-day testing and, like, all the vials of blood and the psych evaluations and all that. So I just put my name on the National Kidney Registry, and I have a weird blood type. And so it took like a year, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I got the call, and they're like, "What are you doing in 2 weeks?" I was like, "I guess I'm recovering from a kidney transplant." So it was good.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills all over. I feel like you're the nicest person we ever met. This is It's unbelievable. And we got you through Mike Kaplan. We thought he was the nicest person we ever met.
Definitely the nicest person ever.
What is happening here?
What
you and Mike have never been in a room together, right? Because the world would explode.
No, we have known each other since we were 12 years old.
Oh, goodness. This makes a lot of sense.
He and my husband and I all went to summer camp together.
Of course.
So we're this little like pack of socially awkward Jewish kids.
Wow.
Good time.
I'm trying to make a list here. What body parts do you have left?
So I can still do a liver lobe.
Okay. do you sometimes fantasize like all the what parts of your body you can give away and help people?
Yeah, I mean, I got these nice feet. They could, sure, somebody could use one or two.
Who uses a pinky? Come on.
You wouldn't miss it.
Well, I'll tell you, not that, it sounds like the egg donation is something separate, but I'm very excited about this memoir. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It, of course, is called Never Simple. So take a look at that. And we will now go over what we learned today. Chemda, we learned, is going to another country, maybe. And we might see the testing live during the marathon.
Oh, God, I'm going to cry. Expect crying. And just understand that the stuff that happens in your nose does make you tear up. So still think of me as an adult with full responsibilities, and we can move on. But I'm going to do it during the marathon, maybe.
This is my Henda impression. No. Okay, go. No. Okay, go. No. I used to, speaking of Joe Rogan, when Henda would take medicine, I would, she's sick. I mean, beyond. And I finally convinced her to take a NyQuil or something. You would think it was rats. I go, and we're on Fear Factor. We're doing it for $1 million. We're doing it for the car. And then she could finally throw it down. But this test is going to be something else. I'm very excited. All right, good. We learned I'm the best at Pilates. What a hidden skill. What a hidden skill. All right.
Someone out there is like, I always knew Keith would be good at Pilates.
Virginia was 13. And now she's 28, been listening the whole time, and apparently has 3 years to catch up on the way I did the math. Wondery says, Justin Long, do you like him? He talks to people. Puxatani Phil saw his shadow. We're going to have some more winner. And let's see. Here's a piece of paper I ripped out. Somebody wasn't pleased with football talk. Okay.
And also around there, we mentioned Drop Dead Fred, which I think is a PSA. So let's mention it again. Thank you.
Do you want them to remake it, Henda? Drop Dead Fred?
No. Remake? No.
Yeah.
Just put it out. It seems like it costs so much. And I remember a friend of mine got me like the tape, and apparently it's very difficult to get. It's very difficult. It's not on any platforms. And I know people send it to me once I say it, and on any podcast, they're like, you could secretly download it here. And right. I understand I can find it. Yes, I understand that. My thing is, it's never like on Netflix or easily on HBO. It's never like in the thing. It's not, you can't really buy it for under like $100 or something like that. So it's interesting.
I saw it. Actually, I saw it on Amazon. You can buy, it says Hemda $100. Really? But I couldn't click on it. Isn't that something? They know. They're fucking with you. They know. That is funny. Like some, these platforms that have every movie ever made, and just, you look for something specific. It's like, oh, you're the weirdo. $37.
There must be something about Drop Dead Fred that is not allowing it to be distributed as much.
Right. Maybe he's sabotaging it.
Me? By talking about it? No, it's deep. Oh, we thought it was fun. Goodbye.
We talked about Howard Hesseman. He passed away. He was fantastic in Spinal Tap. If you haven't seen that movie, I dig that. The Washington Commanders. That's on your shirts now. Sorry about that, guys. Whoopi Goldberg has 2 weeks to learn about the Holocaust. I agree with Henda that I would like a report when you come back, because otherwise I don't know what the fuck you would have learned. But somehow in 2 weeks, and that's not that much time when you think about it, she's going to learn that the Holocaust was indeed about race. Who's going to get through to her? I don't know. Just visit. I mean, it worked for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She goes, hey, I was at the Holocaust and I learned a lesson. That was something. And people are like, okay, some people didn't do their research. So just visit a fucking museum and take a picture. Good for How stupid. It's not about race. When you put who was that? Ted Danson. When you put him in blackface at the Friars Club roast, was that about race? What is about race?
It's just like, it's not about race. It's about mental illness or narcissism or something like that. And it's like, okay, right. It's still about race.
We learned about the memoir, Never Simple. I asked 17 different ways if her dad is really dead or alive. And it turns out that he really is dead. So she didn't fall for that. And that's good. Egg donating. There's more that you want than meets the eye. And what's the group that you're a member of? It's called We Are Egg Donors. Is that correct? How do people check it out?
Just check us out on Facebook. It's a secret group. So if you are looking for some support, very quietly, come search for it.
If you find it.
And so your book will be available. What's the best way that you want people to get it? Is there?
There's not. So it's going to be available on March 1st. You can buy it from your local indie or a big retailer or the guy in the trench coat on the corner with like the fake Rolodexes. I do not care.
I bought a fake book once. Oh, it's bamboos. There's a brick inside. It was just a fucking felt like a fucking idiot. Anyway, that's when I learned about New York. You know, you can make it here. Liz, it was very nice meeting you. Thank you so much for your time.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.